Since a gunman shot and killed 19 students and 2 teachers in May, there's been a push to hold law enforcement officers accountable. Now, nearly a month after that tragic day, the head of the Department of Public Safety, Steve McCraw, testified before a special Texas Senate committee and said this.
There's compelling evidence that the law enforcement response to the attack at Robb Elementary was an abject failure and antithetical to everything we've learned over the last 2 decades since the Columbine massacre.
Now, today, more than 5 months after the massacre at the elementary school in Uvalde, McCraw spoke to parents of the victims and before the Public Safety Commission and seemed to contradict himself. Take a listen.
You did. I can tell you this right now. DPS is an institution, okay? Right now, it did not fail the community, plain and simple.
KVUE's Natalie Haddad joins us now live outside DPS headquarters in North Austin.
And Natalie, you listened to this entire hearing. What did McCraw mean?
Brian Quita, this was the moment that seemed to really shake things up in the meeting. Now, back in September, Texas DPS Director Steven McCraw did tell news outlets that he would step down if any of his troopers had any culpability in this case. We now know that last week, one of the first troopers to arrive on scene of the Robb Elementary School shooting was fired for his actions that day, or lack thereof. And today, McCraw told everyone in that meeting that another trooper is undergoing the termination process right now. Now, families were certainly emotional during the meeting, and a moment ago you heard from Brett Cross, the guardian of Uzziah Garcia. He eventually turned to address McCraw directly after speaking to commissioners. He called McCraw a disgrace to the state and called for his resignation. State Senator Roland Gutierrez, who represents Uvalde, was also there and spoke. He called out Texas DPS for not providing videos or other investigation materials and called them out for their use of non-disclosure agreements. Later, McCraw said it was the instruction of the district attorney in Uvalde that Texas DPS not release information. We've known this for several months, but Gutierrez called that a poor excuse.
You're holding information that these people want to see. They don't want to see their dead kids. They don't want to see any of that. They want to know who failed. And who failed was every law enforcement agency at the scene.
Now, some other things we heard from State Senator Gutierrez is that this entire experience in Uvalde, quote, shattered the belief that we could trust the words and actions of law enforcement, especially Texas DPS. Now, the families of the victims released a statement saying that they were promised an update to the investigation and they did not get that. Now, off camera, McCraw was asked about those additional updates, but he said that today's meeting was about the families. I'll send it back to you.
Our Natalie Haddad live in downtown Austin. Natalie, thank you. After today's hearing, some politicians are calling for McCraw to resign. Congressman Tony Gonzalez, who represents Uvalde, was the first major Republican to call for McCraw's resignation. Democrats, including gubernatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke, echoed the same call for the director to step down.